Guys, how's it going? Today we're going to be going over the Dartling gun. So where should you put a Dartling gun? This depends a lot on what you're planning on doing and what other towers you have. If you're going with a few farms, usually Dartling guns are probably not your best bet, but you can actually use Dartling guns and farms together. And if you wanted to do that, if you put your farms in some sort of corner, you'd basically put your Dartling guns in basically the opposite corner. And that way, your Dartling guns, if you, for example, had your Dartling gun here and your farm's down here, he's going to be shooting through this entire map, right over here, right through the middle here, and you can get your money. So that's one effective way to use the Dartling guns if you're using both farms and Dartlings. So it does depend a lot. If you're not using any farms, you pretty much put Dartlings wherever you want. I like to try and find, if there's a really, really long place in the level, I try and put it along those long places, or I try and figure out a place where I could get just the easiest way to just have them go in one direction and not have to move my mouse at all. And obviously you're gonna have to move your mouse just a little bit, but a lot of the times you really don't have to move it too much because most of the other towers do some damage to them. Now Dartling guns, what are they good for? They are good for, it depends what kind of upgrades and what kind of, it depends basically if you go on the left side or the right side. If you go on the left side, they're definitely better versus Moabs. If you go on the right side, it's definitely better versus lots and lots of balloons. So that's one unique thing about the Dartling gun. Usually it's like, oh, this tower is really good versus this. No, it depends if you go on the left or the right side, or which kind of upgrade you get. Now let's start on the left side first, and this is one of those towers that you need to go a little bit on the left and a little bit on the right if you want to make a good tower. But normally what I do with Dartling guns is I put them somewhere in the corner. That's what I usually end up doing. I usually put them in somewhere in the corner because I feel like I can aim anywhere on the map kind of easily. And that's what I usually like to do. It depends on the person. Some people put them right in the middle and then they just aim around the entire map. But I feel like doing complete circles on the map is kind of tough. It seems like they get a little bit inaccurate compared to if I just move it just a little bit. I can make them aim everywhere on the map. If I move my mouse just a little bit. For example, if you see me moving the Dartling guns completely around. Let's start on the upgrades. Regular Dartling gun is okay. It's decent, but obviously you want to get more upgrades for it. I mean, these guys are good versus Moabs, good versus balloons, but they're not amazing versus anything. Now, once you get this guy, this is just focused firing, which makes it more accurate. So if you guys want to see, let me show you the regular shot first. This is a regular shot, so it's pretty inaccurate. I'm holding my mouse pretty stable, and it shoots pretty much in like a giant spray from like up here to down here. Some of the darts go up there, and some of them go all the way down here if I aim it in one spot. So that's a pretty big range that this guy can have. Now, on the other hand, if I get focused firing, it's not completely straight, but it's a lot more accurate. Now you might notice there's like a little funnel here of where he can hit, but that's still a lot more accurate compared to a giant funnel like that. And then this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Would you normally go with the right side upgrade, or would you normally go with the left side upgrade? And that depends. Now, if you're just going for Moab popping power, you definitely want to stay with the left side upgrades, but if you're going for more popping power, which usually people end up doing, you probably want to get the powerful darts. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's just say you do get faster barrel spin. It does shoot quite a bit faster. If you notice, you can plainly see that it fires quite a bit faster, probably right around 2.5 times faster or so. I don't really know the exact amount, but quite a bit faster, so it does actually help a bit. I'd probably say it fires about 2 times faster. And it doesn't seem like it's not more accurate or anything like that, but it seems like it's more accurate because more darts get shot and it's harder to miss the balloons. So that's also a nice thing about the Dartling gun. Once you get to the third upgrade, this is one of those things where it's like, oh, it went from being able to pop 1 balloon per dart to being able to pop a lot of balloons per dart. So this can pop 13 balloons with each of the laser blasts. And this can also pop frozen balloons. It cannot pop lead balloons, surprisingly, which is, if it's a laser blast, you might think, oh, it can pop lead balloons. No, it cannot pop lead balloons yet, but it can pop frozen balloons, which is nice. And this guy has a lot of popping power. For example, I'll send up just a couple ceramics here, and he does pretty darn good versus these ceramics. Not amazing, but pretty good. Another thing about the Dartlings that I kind of forgot to mention is you need a lot of micro for these. So if you're not ready to pay attention to the game, don't get Dartling guns. If you're just like, I'll just I'll just kind of wing it. No, that's not really going to work. You need to actually aim these guys pretty well, depending on where you place them. The next upgrade for this guy right here is the Ray of Doom, which was one of the most expensive upgrades in the game. Now, is this guy worth it? I would probably say no. Even if you're really, really late game, I really just don't see you getting this $55,000 upgrade. That's a lot of money, guys. I mean, just for that upgrade, you get a Sun God, or even 2 Sun Gods for that amount of money. And I feel like this guy, it looks cool, and it does what it's supposed to do, but do you need it? No, you just don't need it, and that's the problem. Would you use it on hard? No. Would you use it on... Even in free play rounds, I can't really see you using this. By then, you should just get a Temple of the Monkey God and just save up for a Temple. So no, I really wouldn't say to use this, but it is pretty effective. I mean, it can stop infinite, and I mean infinite, ceramics. No problem at all. This is infinite ceramics, and it's like popping them like instantaneously. And, I mean, that's only going through it once. Now, you can also aim, and they go through it quite a few times, not just once. So that was basically infinite ceramics. Even if you put infinity these guys out, regeneration guys out, they will not get through. On the other hand, this guy is decent versus Moabs, especially a lot of Moabs. But it's not like unbelievably amazing versus just one Moab. It doesn't have a super ton of Moab popping power. It's not bad in any way, especially because you get to aim it, but it's just, you know, especially if you have Moabs not next to each other, but you have Moabs kind of spaced out, you probably wouldn't be able to kill them as easily as I am right now. The good thing about the Ray of Doom is if you place it somewhere like this, for example, and you actually put it down a straight line like this. And now just pay attention to this guy right now, just this one. If you put them down a straight line like this, they are going to do a lot more damage than if you put them in a corner. So you have to kind of think ahead a little bit on how you're going to use this guy. You can get a lot more popping power and a lot more Moab popping power using the guy like this. Because this entire section, you're getting pops or you're getting damage on the Moabs. That being said, you could put like quite a few of them in a line or something like that, and you could pop a bunch of stuff. If you did something like this. I mean, this is just something cool to think about. I guess that guy won't really fit, but if you did, if you had like 4 of them like this, and you just put them all on a straight line like that, I mean, it looks kind of cool, and you can't even really see the Dartling guns, but you get a lot of popping power out of that. I think you could probably pop quite a few BFBs and stuff like that, if you sent these out. And I'm going to send out just a couple BFBs here, and just see if they can deal with them, and see how well they deal with them. I'm not really sure, just to show you guys how good they really are. And while that's happening, I'm actually going to talk about this next upgrade right here, which is powerful darts. And now you could be aiming these guys while they're down there, but I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to wait for them to come up here, and 4 of them should be able to take out those BFBs pretty easily, I think. And especially if I aim just a little bit. And now I'm going to talk about powerful darts. Now I can't really move my mouse right now because I'm just going to leave it like this, but imagine that I have a Dartling gun right now with powerful darts. Powerful darts goes from 1 dart popping 1 balloon for a Dartling gun to 1 dart popping 3 balloons. Now this does not automatically triple your popping power, but if you aim it right, it can triple your popping power. So darts can miss now, and especially if you don't have the 1-0 upgrade, which makes it more accurate, your darts can just spread out everywhere and you can miss. So I recommend getting the first upgrade, the 1-0 upgrade, before you get the 0-1 upgrade. So get a 1-1 Dartling gun. That's usually the best way to do it. On the other hand, so yeah, that pop the BFDs pretty darn easily. So we're just going to sell these guys, and we're going to start talking about the other side for the Dartling gun just a little bit more. So just for example, we're just going to put a couple of these guys down here. Like I was stating before, like in the very beginning of the game, if you're going to have like a lot of Moab popping power, you want to go with the left side. You don't even need these powerful darts. It will not make them be any better versus the Moabs. But on the other hand, if you're going for mostly popping power, for example, before level 46, you're better off getting these powerful darts. Now also, that being said, it does not pop ceramics any faster as well. So that's not a good thing. So usually a 1-1 Dartling gun is actually pretty good versus popping balloons, and then a 2-0 Dartling gun is usually pretty good versus Moabs. Once you get up to this is depleted plutonium darts, which is $1,000, which is kind of a lot of money, just to basically pop frozen balloons. I mean, they can already pop ceramics, they can already pop, or not pop ceramics, they can already pop camos, and if you get this upgrade over here, laser cannon, it can pop the frozen balloons, which usually you probably wouldn't do that. But just in case, I mean, just helps pop frozen and lead balloons. So, I mean, it depends. If you're going with a lot of ice towers, especially in some daily challenges, this can really help. A Dartling gun and an ice tower are actually pretty good together. They can be a good combo. That's really all I can say about that one. It's kind of up to your discretion. Another good thing about this guy is that it has automatic camo detection, which I kind of didn't really mention in the very beginning. Automatic camo detection is good because not that many towers have automatic camo detection. There's only, what, the Ninja, the Dartling gun, and the Spike Factory that have automatic camo detection. There's only really 3 towers like that, which are kind of interesting. And it's nice to know that you can just have something that's pretty strong that's good versus the camo balloons. And then we go up to these Hydra rocket pods, which Hydra rocket pods is actually, depending on how you use them, can either be very good or very bad. Now, I personally do not like Hydra pods for like a hard mode or anything like that, but in some daily challenges I find them extremely useful. Now, you cannot just mass a bunch of these laser cannons and beat a bunch of BFBs or beat level like 63. You won't get enough money unless you're really farming hard. You're actually better off getting quite a few of these Hydra rocket pods. Hydra rocket pods just shoot a bunch of missiles, and they pop quite a few balloons. And by now you can pop every type of balloon. But yeah, I mean, it does pretty good. Popping lots of balloons. Obviously, it's like an explosion, and since it shoots so many explosions, it's usually pretty good. Now, on the other hand, this guy, each of these rocket pods actually have not that much popping power. But the interesting thing is they can pop black balloons. So that's a good thing. If they couldn't pop black balloons, this would be such an underpowered tower. But because it can pop black and zebra balloons, that's actually not that bad. But like I said, each one of these rockets actually does not have that much popping power. So even on level like 63 or something like that, usually you're like, oh, an explosion tower? That's going to kill all the balloons on level 63. No, it actually gets limited on how many pops. Even if it's in the perfect spot to get as many pops as it can, which I don't know how many it is, it doesn't really pop that much. So you'd need probably 2 or 3 of these guys just to beat level 63 by themselves. Maybe even more, I don't even know. But watch, I'll send out a couple ceramics out here. Now, I mean, I'm on fast mode, so I'm not really aiming too good. But if you notice, it's really not getting that many pops. I mean, yeah, it looks like it's doing okay, but it's really not doing, like, fantastic or anything like that. It seems like it's pretty bad versus the ceramics. It doesn't get that much pops out of the ceramics, and it takes a while to pop the rest of these balloons out of here. Now, it did stop quite a few. Now, I'm not saying it's like a terrible upgrade or anything like that, but for an explosion tower, it seems like it's a lot less effective than some of the other things. For example, cannons. So the good thing about this is you can aim it around, so you can, you know, aim it up here and aim it down here and just shoot missiles wherever you want, which gives you a lot of pops, but it is kind of bad versus single Moabs. Now, this is actually not that bad versus, like, Moab clusters. If you have a bunch of Moabs, like, coming all together, like, for example, this, they're actually not that bad versus the clusters because the explosions do damage to all of them. On the other hand, if you have, like, a Moab, like, kind of like this, it will not do lots of damage to Moabs. And I definitely recommend the other types of Moab, or the other type of Dartling gun, the 3-0 or 3-1 Dartling gun for most Moabs instead of this. Another thing is, as soon as it hits something, it also pops. So if you're trying to aim something, usually with like a 3-0 Dartling gun, you can actually do some like real damage, like past these Moabs. But this one, if you're aiming like over here and a Moab gets in the way, you can't hit anything else. It just explodes and then gets rid of it. And if you notice, it's really not good versus Moabs, but versus clusters of Moabs, if you think about it, it actually did reasonable damage versus them, because, you know, it damaged like 20 Moabs right next to each other, so it did reasonable damage versus them. But overall, it's really not that fantastic. versus Moabs, but it's decent versus the regular balloons. I wouldn't say it's anything special. The next one is the balloon area denial system, which is $20,000, and you not only get the 3 shots that come out of this guy, you also get this upgrade, this ability. And now I do not like this ability almost at all. I think it's one of the worst abilities in the game. And let me just show you that really, really fast. Let me show you the ability. That was the ability. It looks kind of cool, but it's really not that awesome. Now you might say like, oh, that looked really, really cool. It looked like it popped all those balloons. It kinda did, but it kinda didn't. Now, normally you don't have balloons all over the screen like that, all the way down here. Usually that's not what it looks like. Usually it's like, oh, I have some Moabs up here, and I have some balloons down here, and then when it shoots those rockets like that, it'll shoot like 2 rockets over here, and a couple rockets over here, and that's really all it does. It does not usually shoot those 100 rockets at those 100 balloons. That's usually not what happens, so it actually ends up being not as good as you think. Now the good thing about it is that it does shoot 3 rockets out instead of 1, so if you think about it, you're actually saving money, because 3 rockets is obviously better than 1, and this guy can actually do some pretty heavy Moab damage as well. Now this would be, I believe, the exact same thing as 3 of the 03 Dartling guns. I'm not 100% positive on that, but I'm pretty darn sure. Now if you notice, this is still not unbelievably amazing versus balloons, but it's actually one of those things where it's almost in between versus Moabs and balloons. It can help versus Moabs, and it can help versus balloons, but it's in no way a super overpowered tower. It's not even that good of a tower. It's just reasonable. If you need to use it, go ahead and use it, mostly for daily challenges, but I wouldn't recommend it getting it in a real game or anything like that, because it is just pretty darn expensive, and it's not even that good. Like I showed you guys, it couldn't even stop all those Moabs, when most of those other towers, like a Sun God or a Plasma Robo, would easily stop those guys. I think that's really it for the Dartling guns. Just to recap, the best Dartling guns I usually use are a 1-1 or a 2-1, and a 2-0 are pretty good versus Moabs. A 2-1 can be used pretty well versus Moabs and regular balloons. A 0-1 is good versus mostly just regular balloons. And if you want to get something that's really good versus like mostly everything, your best bet is just to get a laser cannon. Laser cannons are not overpowered, but they're pretty good. You can aim anywhere on the screen, get quite a bit of Moab popping power, and get quite a bit of regular popping power. So that's one of the best Dartling gun upgrades. If I'm going to get a Dartling gun, it's either going to be a 2-1, usually a 2-1 late game, and then usually I just end up getting a laser cannon if I want to get some more popping power. If I have enough money, I'll usually just buy a Plasma Robo or something like that, but if I'm running out of money, laser cannons are one of your best bets. Alright, thanks for watching guys, and have a really nice day.